Welcome to Project You. This podcast explores how integrating changes into your day can produce the best in health, longevity, and performance. We've recruited experts from around the globe who unleash their wisdom to transform your world. Project You dives into how to live a fully optimized life and uncovers tools and techniques to unleash your maximum potential. You only get one shot at this life, so let's get started.
All right. Welcome. Episode 27 of the Project You podcast. Very excited to share with you some feedback and some requested information from my students. As I've been plugging the last few episodes, the men's health course has finished the reiterative process and some new content has been added and old content updated, and we are live. And one of the most common requested things, surprisingly from my younger students, is productivity. Hacks on productivity, techniques for being ultra uber productive, and how to get more done given the same amount of time we all have in a given day. And so I think that's very fascinating and interesting that most of the requests for this information comes from the students that are in their 20s, late 20s. So anyways, I want to dive into some important ideas regarding productivity and some things that I've found to be highly successful for myself, also other students and coaching clients that I've worked with over the years. And the issue number one is going 90 is good. At least that's what the research tells us. I did a Periscope on this yesterday. And what that means is that researchers found that by chunking productive time into 90-minute segments and trying to get 3 or 4 of those in a given day, that results in the best progress and the most productive output. The research was done with musicians. They found that those that were the most talented, most successful, and most capable players were those that practiced in 90-minute segments. And the reason for this is fairly sound. As you're well aware of, when we sleep, our brains go through a pattern. Go through light sleep, deep sleep, dreaming sleep, semi-awake states, different brain waves. I'm not going to get into the science of that, but it's a very consistent pattern throughout all of humans that the brain cycles through these different periods of deep sleep and more awake, more active states. The same thing happens during our waking time. Our brains cycle through these periods where we're alert, functioning well, productive, and as the cycle downturns, we become more tired, less engaged, less focused, less interested, and we need a break. And so it's not uncommon. I have a lot of entrepreneur friends who brag and boast about their ability to sit at their computer for 4 to 6 hours without getting up at once, not even to use the bathroom. And I won't get into the physiology of that, but we all know that sitting is as dangerous as smoking. But nonetheless, the reality is if you watch people who sit or engage in this type of activity, you'll realize that there are large periods of unproductive time where they are dazed, staring off into space, half asleep, tapping their feet, stretching, yawning, fidgeting, and really not getting much done. So beyond the 90-minute segment, I suggest that you're probably wasting time. So give yourself a break. Understand and accept the physiology that's inherent to you as a human being, and take a break after 90 minutes. I personally can't go that long. I can produce and generate and create for about 30 to 45 minutes maximum. I try to keep it between 25 and 45 unless I'm highly engaged in a flow state, which is a very interesting concept described in complete detail by Csikszentmihalyi. But regardless, there are a variety of techniques that you can use and experiment with in terms of productivity, and I'll talk about a few of those. The first being the Pomodoro technique. Pomodoro is a small little tomato, and there's some timers that are in that shape. But anyways, you can set the timer for a 25-minute sprint, if you will. When the timer goes off, you're done. You take a break, whether it's taking a walk, going to the bathroom, getting something to drink, doing some push-ups or sit-ups, some air squats, whatever, and then coming back, resetting the timer, and working in another sprint. And there are plenty of people who find this technique to be highly effective. I've tried it, and I find that I'm watching the timer, I'm anticipating the timer, and it really sort of hampers my concentration. So I personally don't like the Pomodoro technique, but I know plenty of people who use it and swear by it. That's one concept. The other concept is time blocking and batching. So, for example, blocking 45 minutes of time every day at 9 o'clock to write or paint or read or do a specific focused task, and trying to get yourself into the routine and get yourself geared up for that time frame, that period of the day, and the consistency of working for that slot of time in a specific single focused task. And so I like to pull in Stephen Pressfield's concept of turning pro. It's about doing the work despite how you feel. And that's certainly very valuable, particularly for the creative entrepreneurial types, but it doesn't work for everybody. It's difficult. I can't remember the artist or the writer who shared this phrase, but basically it's about inspiration and how he likes to wait for inspiration. And fortunately, every day it shows up at 9 o'clock when he sits down to write. And so being in the right place at the right time, certainly important. The way that I manage my time and my productivity is almost entirely focused on energy management versus time management. And something that I've taught my oldest child as he furthers his academic career, and he's become very adept at it. And that is focusing and completing and working on what is the most difficult, most involved in terms of brain power when you are most alert, most alive, most focused and creative. And that certainly varies depending on your lifestyle and you as a person. For me personally, it happens to be in the very early mornings. After mid-morning, noon, it's very difficult for me to be creative, just with all the activity in my house, with the kids and visitors and running several businesses. It's very difficult. Meetings and interruptions really disrupt my focus. But I really block out a good chunk of time between 4:30, 5 a.m. until about 10:30 a.m., where it's my time to create little segments where I can work when my energy is the greatest, whether I'm creating a blog post, a podcast, writing on the next book, or working on a course topic, a presentation, any of those things that require creative, focused, mindful activity. And so those are just a few concepts I wanted to share on productivity. And as I plugged away at the last few podcasts, the Men's Health course is live. You can find it at the blog at mitchellmd.com. And as always, I hope you're having a fantastic week. I'll be sharing more physiology and up-to-date, cutting-edge information regarding heart health in the weeks to come, so you can look forward to that. And as always, have a fantastic week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Project U. Head over to iTunes and leave a review, or join the conversation on the blog at mitchellmd.com. Have a great week.